Welcome to Three and Out here on this Monday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, here with you. Christian Gokill at the controls. Normally, we were expecting Braves baseball today, but that was not the case as the Braves and Nationals game postponed due to COVID issues with the Nationals. And I believe the Nationals were the only team to be affected by that in the first weekend of the season that I think of. Well, I mean, the Mets, but I'm talking about in terms of a positive test. The Mets simply didn't play because they were playing or supposed to play the Nationals. So that game pushed back. They'll play tomorrow, and it was announced early today the Braves are going to play a doubleheader on Wednesday against those Nationals. So day off to collect your thoughts if you're the Braves. They are 0-3. I wish BJ was here today, Ben, because the last time the Braves started off 0-3 Armageddon, the season was over. The Braves were not good. They needed to rethink the whole way they were doing things. And then they went on to win the division. And, you know, we see where the progression has been made from there. But needless to say, it was not good to get things started. And obviously, you know, it's the first series of the year. If you come out extremely hot or extremely cold, those things are going to be magnified. And, well, the Braves couldn't hit the Phillies at all. And because it was the first three games, that's what everybody's going to take umbrage with, is that the offense was not good for much of the series or the entirety of the series.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, Kevin, I mean, I do wish BJ was on today to kind of go crazy on the fact that the Braves aren't looking like themselves. But this is a Braves team that's coming in, you know, back-to-back, defending NL East champions. They know they're good. They're playing with a little bit more swagger. But that doesn't mean that the product on the field is going to give you your end result. No, the Braves have not been at their best. But something you said before the show, Kevin, somebody's going to catch it. I mean, the bats for the Braves just haven't been there, but it's not like they're going up against slouches like on the mound either. It's like it is the Phillies. The Phillies can make anybody look normal, even if it is Acuna, a Azuna, and Ozzie and a Freddie Free. But it's not like the Braves weren't in all the games. These ain't blowout games. This ain't 11-1 or 12-2. It was really both. You know, both starting pitchers really do like showing what they can do. I mean, the Phillies just outdo the Braves, but it is 0-3. I'm not going to take away, but it's a lot of games. This ain't every game counts the same. I know that's the whole BJ moniker, but I do think the Braves just got to find their rhythm, and I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big difference in having 60 games and 162 games back on the schedule. If this was last year and you start out 0-3, you go, you better get it together real quick if you're Atlanta. But again, 162 games, not the end of the world. If this had happened in June, you probably wouldn't think anything of it other than you got swept by an in-division rival in the Phillies. That would have been about all you said about it and say, hey, they need to get back on track. So Braves got to get back on track. Probably the worst thing that happened was that the Nationals got postponed back and that you're going to see their three best. So you're going to see maybe 5 of the best pitchers you're going to see all year long in the first 5-6 games of the season. And that's just the way it goes sometimes when you're in a division that's as tough as the National League East. The pitching in this division is fantastic, and the Braves are just happen to catch it all right at the beginning. So I wouldn't expect a whole lot of offensive outbursts necessarily tomorrow or Wednesday, but maybe the Phillies part 2. Certainly when the Marlins roll around, if the Braves are still struggling, again, it's only a matter of time before that offense, I think, comes around. The pitching, though, if you're the Braves, has to be a bright spot for you. Again, it was 2-2 late in the game on opening day. Zach Wheeler just dominated on Saturday. You couldn't do anything. That happens. And then yesterday, it was 1-1 late in the game. Once again, you rallied to make it 1-1 late in the game, and it just wasn't enough to hold up. So your pitching hasn't been terrible. Your offense has just been awful. And fact of the matter is your starting lineup has put up 1 RBI in 3 games. I mean, Pablo Sandoval, who doesn't play, who's come to bat twice, he's batted twice, to my knowledge, and doesn't play in the field so far, hasn't played in the field so far. He has 2 RBIs. The whole rest of your team has 1. So that kind of tells you how slow it's been for Atlanta there at the plate. But again, I believe this team's good enough. The bats are going to come around, and it'll all even itself out at some point if you're Atlanta. It probably just hurts a little more because it's a divisional opponent you got swept by, but those things happen. And again, I think you hope it's not more of the same against Strasburg and Scherzer here in the next couple of days where you just, I mean, and again, you can't fault them if you go up there and you can't hit them. But that's a tough way to start. 2021 is facing those guys.
Yeah, and Kevin, right, wrong, and different. I mean, let's not act as if this lineup. I mean, if you the Phillies, and I know you got Scherzer, I know you got Strasburg coming up. They know what this lineup could potentially do. They're like, look, man, we got to look. I mean, from Acuna on, we can't give these guys no room. I mean, because the thing about the Braves lineup is it only takes one hit, and I didn't think that hit was going to come from Kung Fu Panda, but it did, and I just think that. Baseball is rhythm based just like any other sport, and I think once they get that rhythm going, I don't know who it's going to start with, but I think it'll snowball from there. But it wasn't pretty because the thing is, I forgot how crazy Braves Twitter could be, and every at bat, oh my God! But I'm like, they're not going against slouches, like. They're not going up against a guy that just kind of came up in the farm system. You get some of the best pitching and pitchers in the game. So we said this NL East was going to be tough. And I know that when we talk about 5 of the top 100 players in baseball in the NL East, we forget about these pitchers and just how great the pitching staffs on these teams are. The Braves got reminded. I hope they get some kickback. I would love to get some kickback. I always want to get some kickback against Strasburg. He's just a thorn in my side, man. Nobody gets babysitted more than this dude, right, wrong, and different, even though he got the freaking ring. But yeah, Braves got to come out and show some fight. They got to get back to what they do. Because like you said, Kevin, you feel good about the pitching. Now near we say those bats, they're going to have to start pulling their weight a little more.
Absolutely. Hey, and again, I think you look at, for me, Christian, I always talk about, hey, I'm like, we don't need the DH. Everybody's like, who wants to see the pitcher bat? In this series, Zach Wheeler beat you at the plate, 2 hits, and then, Ian Anderson, a hit at the plate. Who says pitchers can't hit the baseball and rake? Again, that to me makes it fun because, again, the pitcher's up to bat. In your brain, I was like, oh, you're chalking it up as an out. And not only did he get you once, he got you twice, and it's just an extra hit in the gut when the pitcher is able to go up there and make things happen.
Well, let's be real about it. Ian Anderson, he stroked one, and it should have been a long single. It got a little dangerous, stretched it into a double, but then we immediately saw why pitchers on base is just sad a lot of times because you see the ball off the bat of Ronald Acuna and just gets picked off in a double play. I mean, that wasn't a great look from Ian Anderson. But, I mean, even worse than that, though, I mean, I get it. You got a couple of hits from pitchers in this series. Even worse than that, though, Kevin, was the argument for getting rid of the DH in the National League did not get buoyed at all by Max Fried's attempts in Game 1. My man took the bat off his shoulders like one time. The first time he came up there, he just looked at 3 straight pitches and walked back to the dugout. I mean, so it's a mixed bag. You got some guys that'll go out there and nail a ball. You also got guys like Max Fried that just go, all right, back to the dugout.
But, Ian Anderson has as many hits as Albies, Freddie Freeman, and Marcell Ozuna combined. Your pitchers,
they get to poke fun at him. They get to poke fun at him. And Christian, come on now. If you snit, you tell him, Max, if you even, I don't care.
Oh, so they're not come off your show. When the pitchers would hit a dribbler, you just hear him yelling from the dugout, easy. You don't want to get those guys hurt. But I think the biggest storyline from this weekend. Number one, has exit velo become the RPO for baseball announcers? Because if I heard exit velo it's one more time, I was going to have to flip it off and just turn on Ben Ingram on the radio. But flip side of that, though, they're kind of right. The Phillies got super lucky in this series. Just the little dribblers that were getting through and so many infield singles where the Braves,
and that's baseball,
were blasting the baseball and it was just right at people. So it'll even out. As much as we're worried about Steven Strasburg and Max Scherzer, they got to be worried about the fact that Acuna, Ozuna, Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson, none of those dudes have gone yard yet. So like they know the market correction's coming and it's probably going to be against them. As worried as we are about Scherzer and old Strasburg over there, even though the Braves kind of eat Strasburg's lunch every now and then, I think they're probably just as worried that, listen, Freddie Freeman and Marcell Ozuna and Ozzie Albies aren't going to go hitless in this series.
Yeah, I think it's only going to be, they're not going to go the whole rest of the month without getting a hit. I mean, it's baseball. Those things happen. I'll be interested to see again when and what that has been said, what that spark could be to get this team up and going. Because that's all it takes. It's one hit. I think that was huge a couple years ago. The Braves were having a rough go on opening day. Nick Markakis comes up, slaps a homer or slaps a walk-off single or something in the first game, and that kind of set the tone for the Braves coming right out of the gate. So, I mean, you can see it. Sometimes it's just a hit in a big moment will send the team in a whole different direction. And I'll be interested to see what that is. I know people freak out about 3 games. We've still got 159 more to go to figure this thing out.
I need you to talk me off one ledge, though, because I'm ready to move Ozzie Albies down to like the 7 hole. And it's not just because of this year. It's last year. I know he was hurt, but it was the struggle bus with Ozzie Albies, and you had one of the best offenses in baseball with Freddie Freeman hitting into the 2 hole. I'm just curious. We talked to Doc Herbert last week, and he said he doesn't expect that experiment to last more than a couple weeks if Albies keeps it up at this place, hitting below the Mendoza line for the most part. I mean, it creates such a gap in what is a lethal portion of your lineup when all of a sudden you're going from Acuna to Freeman to Acuna pretty easy out, then Freeman.
Well, I mean, it also affects what you do at the top of the lineup. And to be fair, you can go righty, lefty, righty. He just missed a home run on opening day by half a foot, which is still an out. But I think you look at it as well. If he struggles, that affects what Acuna does at the top. And you say, well, how does that matter? Well, I'm going to be extra careful with Ronald Acuna if I know Ozzie Albies is not hitting the ball. If I know he's not getting on base, I know he's not putting a charge into the baseball, then I'm willing to be less, Well,
you saw it this weekend.
What am I less aggressive with Ronald Acuna and give him nothing to hit if I feel like I got a pretty solid out sitting right behind him. So, he needs to hit. And again, baseball, I hate judging things off 1 or 2 or 3 games because it's such a momentum based game.
But I don't think this is 1, 2, 3 games. I think this is the end of last year because he did not have a good postseason. End of last year.
Yeah, but I think you still have to write that off to some point.
Going into spring training, not a great spring training. Hasn't been hitting the ball well in spring training. And now you see it through the first weekend. He just hasn't been great. How long are you willing to experiment with that?
I mean, I still think some of that is also who you were facing. And again, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to a number of guys because, again, if we're going up there and you see a series where it's 3, 4, 5, and the other guy's rotation and the team you're playing doesn't have a great bullpen and he's not able to take advantage of that. Okay. I think you got to give it at least another week or so. And what's helping him is the fact that Dansby didn't have a great series either. Not because I think he's logically the next guy that you would put there.
Not for me.
Well,
I'm clicking Freeman up a spot.
I understand that. But again, you want Freeman Ozuna with what? 2 guys on in front of him, hopefully. And that's where they can do a lot of damage. So I think last year it worked because you had the DH involved as well. So I don't think they're going to do that with Freddie Freeman. I think the next logical choice would be Dansby Swanson slide into the 2 hole and see what happens there.
I'm just happy because I was expecting Ben to be wearing like a Florida hat today out of shame, but Ben's still rocking the Atlanta A.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna rock one. I will say this though. I mean, I don't know if it was an old clip or current clip. Did Ronald Acuna throw Bryce Harper out at second trying to get in the second?
Oh, he did. He showed up.
And the thing is, too, right? What I can respect about Bryce, he didn't even look in Acuna's direction. He was like, "Oh, so that's how it is." Acuna, dude, not on my watch, dude. You ain't finna.
I love Bryce Harper, and he seems like he's over everything. Like it doesn't matter what he does. Hits a home run, gets thrown out at second, slides.
Well, the thing about it is this: Bryce whole life
not been in my $500 million.
You know what I'm saying? Bryce Hole, I remember 2 or 3 years before Bryce was even coming up for his new deal, people talking about how much he was going to get and everything. They say, Bryce, what, 300? That's disrespectful. Is it, Bryce? So, yeah, Bryce Harper, listen, the best hair, I got to say right now, in sports, potentially. And yeah, I mean, they just keep the camera on him. Like, listen, that's the 3rd out. The inning's over. Yeah, but let's just keep he's good for ratings. So, yeah. Do not try Ronald Acuna. I don't care who you are, Bryce.
Hey, exactly, Bryce. Go sit down. We got a lot to get to here on the show. We'll chat with Quincy Carter coming up in about 20 minutes. We'll talk some quarterbacks with him. We see this all the time, but a late riser, Mac Jones, getting a lot of run over the weekend. Could he be sliding up into the top 3? We'll talk to Quincy Carter about all of that and more. Also, Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily, will join us in hour number 2. Georgia had their first scrimmage of the spring. Where's the quarterback battle stand? What about wide receiver depth? I know you got a couple of them banged up here a little bit.
The backup quarterback battle.
Sorry, the backup quarterback battle. Yes, I'm sorry. JT Daniels has that locked up. We'll get to that with Brooks Austin coming up in hour number 2, and then Rich Styles will join us, host of the Back Nine Boys, in the final hour. It's Masters Week.
Rich Styles,
Jordan Spieth coming off a win. Masters this week. We'll do a little Masters draft with Rich. We'll see who's can pick 3 guys there at the Masters who's going to come out on top. So how are we determined how who gets to go first?
We'll do it alphabetically. So I guess Ben gets to go first.
How's that fair?
I mean, you should have asked your parents. Should have asked your parents to name you.
I should have named me AA Ron.
Yeah,
I could have just
exactly.
been up there at the very beginning. but
Correct.
we've got-
Surprising they didn't do that. I mean,
we've
after
got-
Hank Aaron.
That's right. We've got more to come. It's 3 and Out on this Monday all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here on this Monday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are live streaming on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as well. Audio streaming, ESPNCoastal.com. We'll hear from former Georgia Dallas Cowboy quarterback Quincy Carter. We'll talk about those quarterbacks in this draft with him coming up in about 15 minutes. But Ben, we're talking about the Braves there at the beginning. I know it's a little different because it's like in Texas and on the West Coast. So we're not very close to either one of these teams, but the national championship tonight, Baylor and Gonzaga, should be a fantastic matchup, especially after the Final Four we saw with UCLA and Gonzaga on Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I give a lot of credit to UCLA. They did all you can do. When people start talking about, man, is our best good enough to beat Gonzaga? Your best is good enough to beat Gonzaga to make it to overtime, and then Kevin, it's why we love and also hate the tournament. You're going to see more buzzer beaters in the tournament than you see the entire regular season and with all conferences throughout basketball. I mean, if you're UCLA, you're saying to yourself, oh, man, we just tied the game up. And it's like you can see it coming. I mean, Suggs, he pulled up, let it go, the bank three. Not even just all net, hit the bank three. But I give a lot of credit to UCLA, a playing team that I think was the first playing team ever to make it to the Final Four, if I'm not mistaken. But it should be a good one tonight. Baylor, I could be wrong. You might have to check, but could be wrong. I'm not good with the stats there. What I say?
Christian has a correction.
Second team.
Excuse me, the second team. But no, it was a great game. I think when you look at Kevin, something me and you talked about, even bigger than the game. Man, when you first heard about the bubble, oh man, a bunch of young 20-some-year-olds in a bubble. VCU is the only team to have to forfeit in the first round due to COVID protocols. I mean, you had everything you could want in the tournament. Oral Roberts is obviously going to be the talk of this tournament. Loyola Chicago, really, really well. The Fighting Illini proved that they just was ranked number one, couldn't even get out of the first round. But I think it's more than live up to the billing. It should be a great game tonight. But we talking all about them Zags. Well, them guys from Baylor, they play some good ball too. I still think the Zags just is a team of destiny when you look at how they won to get here. But I think Baylor going to give them all they can handle tonight.
No, I agree. I agree. And again, the Baylor had their way with Houston in their Final Four game. That was not competitive. And usually that's the way it seems like it goes in the Final Four. You get one really good competitive game and one that's not so much. And Baylor, Houston, not competitive. Baylor was up big pretty early in that one, and it was over and done with pretty much in the second half. They were just playing out of string. And then you get UCLA, Gonzaga, and to me, Gonzaga not been tested much most of the season, and they got all they wanted, and then some from UCLA. Still found a way to pull it out at the end, and it makes me wonder what they have in store for Baylor, because they have been pretty much all season long the number one team in the country. And I know BJ is a big fan of math says they're due for a loss. I don't know, man. They're looking to be the second team to ever go undefeated, win the championship. All right, first team since 76 at least in Indiana. So this is not something that just happens a whole lot. And I like the way they play. I like the way they get after it. I know Baylor is really good on the defensive side as well. They'll get after you on both ends. But man, it really feels like Gonzaga is a team that could get it done. And I know in most people, I say most, just looking at our brackets, but a lot of people really had Gonzaga to win this thing. And just me personally, Mark Few is that guy. Ben, he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Has been there at Gonzaga, turned him into a Cinderella story that was cute. Hey, they're a mid-major, all that. Then you had Adam Morrison come along. They lost to UCLA, I think in the Elite Eight. Finally got into a Final Four a couple years ago and never won a national championship since they've been at Gonzaga. So to me, that's also what you like about sports. It's the guy that took the long grind, had his opportunities now to go take other jobs. They're like, hey, man, Spokane, Washington, Northeast, hey, you've got a great thing rolling, but what about this job or this job to go to a major conference and really prove yourself? Mark Few said, no, I like where I'm at. I like the guys I'm coaching, and he is consistently putting dudes in the NBA, and now he's got a chance to win a national title, man. There's not much not to like about Mark Few, and just sentimentally, I know we're not supposed to root for anybody. I really don't have a dog in the fight. No pun intended, Gonzaga Bulldogs. But I would love to see Mark Few win it just because he has been close and had great teams a number of times and not been able to cash it in. And it feels like this might be the year for him to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you said about the Zags. I mean, they're going to definitely be a team. It's almost like, was their market correction game, whatever, that, the previous game, even though they did win it because of what they had to go through and then win it, in overtime. I do agree. When you talk about guys, like Coach Few, to stay at these type of programs. Didn't Bill Self just get a freaking lifetime contract with Kansas, which is crazy? I just think that certain guys say, look, man, I'm just bonded to this school. I mean, I understand, and it says a lot when you talk about a guy like Coach Few who has a lot of opportunities elsewhere, but sticks it out. Like, that's a guy that said, look, I'm not going to preach one thing. Now, I will say this. Now, if he wins it, that might be a look, because I think he's done what he was there to do. Now winning it, because think about it, Kevin, is he willing to go through this type of run again to get back? I think sometimes it's just draining, because he knows if I go to another program with my track record and my name, I can start pulling some of these McDonald's All-Americans, because I love slow and steady wins the race, but if I can jump to the front of the line, I'm just saying, man, sometimes you just want to, get that little, extra push. But yeah, I am rooting for the Zags as well. I think they're a team that's been through a lot. I like how when they win it, you start going through the history. Now the people telling Adam Morris, oh, when they're doing it for you, they're not. They're not doing it for a previous player. They say we're gonna win it for Dan after Dan, So I just think that it should be a good one tonight. But like I said, Kevin, ain't nobody talking about Baylor. And Baylor is good enough to beat those boys. Will they do it? But I think it's setting up to be a good one.
Absolutely. And another reason for our folks in South Georgia to get into the game tonight, Davion Mitchell for Baylor out of Liberty County High School. I know he's been a big star of the tournament, and he's out there for Baylor. You're going to see him a lot tonight for the Bears. So another reason for folks in South Georgia to tune in tonight as well. Quickly before we step aside and we bring on Quincy Carter, talk some NFL quarterbacks as we get ready for the draft. Some sources, John Rothstein saying North Carolina expected to promote Hubert Davis to be the head coach at North Carolina to succeed Roy Williams. So a guy that's obviously a part of the Carolina program there. Hubert Davis apparently set to be the next head coach there for North Carolina and take over that storied program. We'll step aside. Quincy Carter, former Georgia quarterback, Dallas Cowboy quarterback, going to join us when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here on this Monday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here on 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are efforting Quincy Carter, former Georgia and Dallas Cowboys quarterback, to have him here on the show looking at quarterbacks in the draft. They have been all the rage here, Ben. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has been number one on a number of boards. Zach Wilson has been right up there, shooting up. We've seen a lot this weekend of Mac Jones starting to rocket up boards. What does that mean about Trey Lance, Justin Fields? We shall see. I believe we may have Quincy Carter momentarily. Now we do. We have the former Georgia Dallas Cowboy quarterback joining us here, Quincy Carter, on 3 and Out. Quincy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, buddy. I'm good. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing fantastic. Appreciate you joining us. And certainly when it comes to the draft, people talk about quarterbacks, but it seems this year, more so than most, folks have gone quarterback crazy, so much so that a lot of mocks say, hey, the first 4 picks could be quarterbacks. Are these guys that good, or has quarterback just become a position of desperation if you don't have one?
You know, honestly, man, I think it's a combination of both. It's really, really important. First of all, the quarterback position is the number one job, in all the sports, I think, that you need to take care of. And then, hey, let's be honest, man, we got 4 talented guys who can fit that bill of maybe carrying a franchise. I mean, it's all projected. We'll see how, they do when they get in the league. But, I think it's a combination of both. And they're just in the prime spot this year to be able to, be up for one of those 4 first spots.
Quincy, when you think about a guy like Justin Fields, obviously he started out at Georgia, then he ends up at Ohio State. He's a guy that was, about as good as advertised. On the big stage. Obviously, I think I know where this unfair criticism comes from, but why people feel as though they got to say something negative about him to justify like where he's going to go in the draft?
You know something, man, I'm really saddened by this situation, to be honest with you, because, this theme keeps going on. You look at Deshaun Watson and where he fell in the draft to the Houston Texans a few years back. We talking about a great kid. It's unfortunate he fell into the situation he's in right now. But I never thought that Mitchell Trubisky would ever be drafted before Deshaun Watson. And now you take this year with Fields, man, it's just sad, man, because, the biggest thing I look at, is that head-to-head matchup. And Fields clearly looked like the best quarterback, in that game versus Clemson. And then to beat a guy with broken ribs, and then you got a draft situation where somebody wants to start bringing up negative things, man. It's just, it's unfortunate. But the unfortunate part about it is how everybody jumps on the same bandwagon. Like, no one else can not have an opinion about Justin Fields. But what I do know, it's going to be one of those top 4 teams that really digs deep and really find out about Justin Fields. And so hopefully everything will be justified. No pun intended there. but hopefully everything will be a workout for his favor as the draft nears here a little bit. And hopefully one of those teams really dig deep, because there's no way I'm not picking Justin Fields at number 1. After he showed what he showed this past year in those couple bowl games and the few games that he did play, his adversity is admirable. The way he bounced back in some of those early games during the season after being off for almost a whole year. I think they started, in late October, November. So it's just really sad, man. Hopefully one of these teams dig real deep and really get to the bottom of everything, man, and he'll go where he needs to go.
And Quincy, you look at these guys quarterback regardless. Most of these guys are going to come in and try to play right away. I mean, talk about your own experience coming into the league. And it used to be way back when, hey, you get drafted in the first round as a quarterback. hey, learn from the guy in front of you. That's not going to be the case with these guys. It's come in, you're the starter. How difficult is it to walk out of college, step right in there, and go attack an NFL defense right away and be successful?
Well, things have changed a little bit. One, a lot of these guys has been passing a lot since the age of 7. And, they're very involved in this, a lot of 7-on-7 football going on, which I really think is helping the passing game. And then the second thing, the rule changes for a lot of these guys, and, defensive backs can't be as aggressive as they can be. Now, what I'm noticing is the second, third year trend for a lot of these first year guys, because what's being happened, if that's even a phrase, what's being happened, but what is happening, is a lot of these guys are getting film on them. And so now you're getting that 16-game season, maybe a little less for some guys. So now you know how they tick. For these defensive coordinators, now you know how to attack some of these guys, and then there's a little shock to the system for a lot of these young guys. So it's who makes the adjustments. Yes, a lot of teams don't know what are going to be coming at them with, but who makes that second wave adjustment? That's kind of what I look for. But it's only inevitable that you believe in these guys early, simply because of some successes that we've had over the last 10 years. When you talk about Lamar Jackson and the kid out in Arizona, I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, exactly. Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson. So it's been some guys that come in the league and show that, hey, they can belong. But, it's that second wave of adjustments, when defenses start adjusting to you and know where you're going to be at that spot, know what routes, that offensive coordinators are going to be trying to hit against you, because you playing to that young quarterback's strengths. So yeah, it's that second wave of adjustment that I look for.
And Quincy, even sticking with adjustments, a lot of people are going to be talking about the fact that a guy like Mac Jones could potentially go number 3. Not that it means that he's better than a Justin Fields, but it comes down to scheme, not just the player, but the scheme that he's fitting in. At what point as a quarterback do you make that scheme fit what you do? You got to learn it first, but how long does it take to get comfortable to where I know what the offense wants to do, I know what the offensive coordinator wants me to do, and my talent can just take over the offense instead of just playing within it?
Well, to be honest with you, I think that has to come first. A guy's ability, what he does well, and what makes him tick. I think that has to come first in any thinking of, you drafting him that high. And does your offensive coordinator, head coach, whoever's over the offense, does his philosophies marry? And so I think that's very important. I was listening to Colin Cowherd earlier, and I forgot who the team was in the top 4. I'm drawing a blank on them, but anyway, I heard Matt Jones will be that number 3 pick. Who has the number 3 pick?
San Francisco.
Yeah, the 49ers, and he was talking about how Shanahan's scheme might fit him a little bit more because they run the ball a lot. Now one thing I will say about Matt Jones, those Sarkisian was really innovative in drawing up a good game plan for the next team, especially in those playoffs. And he was able to dissect that defense and put them in different formations, different motions. And so he handled, that kind of offensive game plan on the biggest stage and going through a lot of different formations and motions, the timing of all that. And I thought he handled it quite well. So that's a pretty good indication. But we're only talking about a couple games there. And, in the rest of his games, his team really was had a big lead. So I've seen, enough of them to believe his game might, translate to the next level. I'm just not sure if I'm, if I'm all that from all that hyper about, getting them in the first round.
Quincy Carter joining us here on 3 and Out. And Quincy, obviously, we talk about these guys. I asked you earlier about just coming in and having to play right away and get that intro to the NFL. What was your kind of welcome to the NFL moment where you kind of were like, uh-oh, or whatever it was like, oh, this is next level? Was it the first practice? Was it the first game? What was that, hey, welcome to the NFL moment for you?
Man, honestly, it was my first call in the huddle. And I got in the huddle, and Emmitt Smith was there, and Mark Stepnowski, Larry Allen, Joey Galloway, and I'm looking at them. And it's funny, I'm real good friends with Robert Thomas. And it's funny, we joke around a little bit about it. He was my fullback, and it's funny how he actually mimics me coming into that huddle and stuttering that first play. We were in minicamp then, so that was kind of my welcome to the NFL. Like, whoa, look at these faces I've been playing with on Madden.
And Quincy, man, I mean, you obviously played, college football at the University of Georgia, but you was also the starting quarterback for America's team. I'm not taking nothing away from the other 31 franchises, but whatever happens with the Dallas team, especially the quarterback, what is it like being the starting QB for America's team?
It's different. I got the opportunity to go up and play for the New York Jets. Also, even though I was backing up Chad Pennington for predominantly the most of the season, but it's just different, man. At times, you really feel that you're not even human when you can't go to the grocery store. The whole city. You feel like it's on your back as far as going in a game and getting a win out, on Sundays. Just your whole schedule, has to have something to do with, being the quarterback of America's team on an everyday basis, whether it's going out and reading, whether it's, going out to different dinners in town where you're going to meet some other Cowboy greats. You got the whole city on your back, man. It's a lot of responsibility. And that's why, I love Dak for, you can tell. I mean, I love Dak just for, the way he handles everything. And you can tell that he's got a good grasp on the city, man. But it's different, man. It's different.
Quincy Carter, our guest here on 3 and Out. Quincy, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, man. Y'all take care.
Will do. Quincy Carter joining us here on 3 and Out, former quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, University of Georgia as well. Pleasure having him here on the show, sharing some of his. And again, Ben, you've talked a lot. Yeah, you've talked a lot about that first time you walked in the huddle. And you're like, hey, fellas, what's going on? You're like looking around. It's like he said the same thing. He's like, there's Emmitt Smith, there's Mark Stepnowski, there's Larry Allen. Hey guys, I'm the new guy here. Here's what we're gonna do.
No, I love the fact that he like okay, all right, Quincy, give him the play. That go Emmitt Smith. What's up, Emmitt? What you mean? What's up, Emmitt? What are you doing? Blue footed. Wait a minute, but that's how it is though. I'm not comparing my experience to no Quincy Carter's, but look, me and Troy Fleming get drafted together, Kevin. All of a sudden the coach go, hey man, y'all boys jump in with the first team. Me and Troy looking at each other. We go into the huddle, and Steve McNair gets the call. He walks up to me, and we standing face to face, and I'm just smiling at him like, "What's up, man?" He like, "It's what is up?" And he's doing this. He's doing his hand like this, and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Man, you got to bend down, man. I got to talk because I'm right in front of him, so I had to bend down so he could talk to the rest of the huddle." And he gave us a play, and I hesitated, and the coach said, "Wait a minute." Because Ben don't know the play. I didn't. I didn't know the play. I should have ran out quicker. Coaches are really, really good at body language, right? They can tell. They're like, Ben, if you run out the play, you know what you're doing.
we got more to come. Here's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Monday. Kevin Thomas and Ben Troop. Glad you are with us all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, and those joining us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. If you missed any portion of the show, you get a podcasted version at espncoastal.com, also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You get the daily archive of the show. So no reason you shouldn't be watching the show or listening to the show on a daily basis. Much more to come. Hour 2 will take 3. Brooks Austin going to join us next hour, Ben, as Georgia with their first scrimmage of the spring, and certainly backup quarterback battle, one to watch, and some wide receiver competition going on there. Some looking at the wide receiver depth chart as they head into 2021 fall season here. But first scrimmage of the spring, we'll get to Brooks in hour 2, find out the very latest there from Athens.
I'm looking forward to it. I think what happens is, Kevin, most often the time when people talk about George Pickens going down, they thought it was going to be an easy transition for the guys who are going to step up to be the number one receiver. But everybody got to step up. Everybody want that smoke. But one less body means more rep for those young guys. And sometimes, man, you got to deal with the injury bug. We'll see how those young receivers step up to the plate.
Certainly. And so Brooks will join us coming up next hour. We'll also look at our draft big board with all these quarterbacks going off. Doesn't necessarily mean they're the top 4 guys on people's big board. We'll put together our big boards for you here as we count down towards the draft later this month. But we'll take 3 when we return. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live, ESPNcoastal.com. Love to hear from you on Twitter as well, at Pigskin Radio. Good to have you along here on 3 and Out on this Monday afternoon. Glad you were with us. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Plenty to get to here this hour. Brooks Austin going to join us from Dogs Daily in about 15 minutes. We'll take 3 here shortly, but quickly, Ben, if we're going to be talking draft later, within the last 5 minutes, Adam Schefter filing to ESPN. Jets trading Sam Darnold to the Panthers for a 6th-round pick in 2021 and a 2nd and 4th-round pick in 2022. So now the Jets 100% in on quarterback, and obviously everybody thinks it's going to be Zach Wilson.
Wow, man! I mean, shout out to those Jets going ahead and making that move. The Panthers getting their guy without having to move that draft slot as far as like where they're going to go up and down. That's going to kind of shake things up because everybody knew that the Panthers were going to get a quarterback. Everybody was thinking more Trey Lance or maybe even a Justin Fields if he slid, but because they already got the guy they want for the future. Now they can go ahead and address other positions. But yeah, shout out to those Jets for going ahead and getting a disgruntled, I guess, potential superstar, off the books. I never ever agreed with trying to have a guy. If I told you I don't want to be here, let me get the hell on, man. Because I'm not gonna play my best. So shout out to the Jets for getting it done, and shout out to them Panthers. I mean, dare I say, Teddy Two Gloves? I mean, his days are over. Down there in Carolina.
Let's get to take 3 here on 3 and Out on this Monday afternoon. What you got today, Christian, for us on take 3?
Oh, you're not going to say you're bringing me in for take 3?
Let me bring in.
Thank you.
Christian Gokel for take 3.
Need my correct introductions here. Guys, take 1. Who will be the first out of Ronald Acuna, Freddie Freeman, Marcell Ozuna, Dansby Swanson, or Ozzie Albies to go yard?
Go ahead, Kevin.
I'll go first. I was arrogant enough last Monday to say I thought Acuna would hit a leadoff homer to start the season. So he hasn't yet. I'll stick with him, and he'll be my guy. He's also, as Ben said in the pre-show, changed my mind a little bit. I thought maybe Ozuna, but Acuna's going to get the first crack at it. So I'll go with Acuna.
I'm gonna go with Marcell because I mean, if I'm a pitcher, I'm not giving Acuna anything to swing at. Like that dude. I mean, I know he hasn't shown it yet, but I think it's just Marcell. Number one, bigger than just a home run. Christian, you know this. I want to see that try to run. I want to see if he gonna bring 2020 to 2021. Is he gonna be whipping it up? Is he gonna be taking pitches? I don't like y'all guys
Whipping it up,
mixing it up,
mixing it up. Listen, mixing it up with the selfie. Give me Marcell. He gonna be the snowball for everybody else.
I'll go dark horse. I'm taking Dansby. He's hitting the ball really well right now. Had a home run. If it wasn't for the wind, and like I said, I think Ronald Acuna, they're gonna pitch him real careful until Ozzie Albies can show that he's dangerous whatsoever this year. All right, take 2. Lincoln Riley, guys. I don't know if you've seen this. Kevin,
we looked it up. Yes,
you said you looked up the picture on Twitter. He's getting drugged on Twitter for posting a picture of very dry
Can you pull it up on
brisket
the
on Easter. I can't hear in a second, but I mean, just getting absolutely destroyed. Someone said he loves football so much that he eats it on Easter. I mean, just all kinds of stuff on Twitter from him. So I got to ask you guys, how careful do you need to be before posting a meat picture online?
Now, well, listen, I will be the first to say that people like things different ways, okay? Especially when it comes to cooking
well done
and or smoking the finer meats, right? Each to their own. That being said, Lincoln Riley better have some 5-star sauce to go on that stuff because, man, the cutting board isn't even looking wet. Like, that's bad. Like, several of my friends enjoy smoking, briskets and Boston butts and the chickens and all that. Like the cutting board, look at that. The cutting board is not even wet. Like that's overdone, Lincoln. Don't do it. You better,
It looks like hamburger meat.
I know that doesn't look that bad, but if you're gonna do that, you have got to go.
It looks pretty bad.
A+ on the presentation. Like, look. Don't post that. You want to post like a picture of you squeezing the meat and just the juice coming out. Like that looks like it's in dire need of a bath in the barbecue sauce in a big, big way.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, number one, okay, Lincoln. Okay, I'm just saying this. You make too much money for your meat to look like that. I mean, it just do. And the thing about it is, I've seen our own Christian Gokel post him cooking. I've seen Christian do a lot of things online, like build stuff, work out. I've seen Christian make a macaroni and cheese from scratch, and I'm saying to myself, I would eat that. I would tear that up. This right here is on the not top 10 of brisket or whatever that is. That is that animal died for that. Like for that.
Well, now wait a minute, Ben. I will say.
Oh no.
I don't know if you are the person to be calling guys out because I don't know if you've changed, but you did like the well done steak.
Now, hold on. I listen, I have a psychiatrist. He talked to me about it, and I'm better now. They said admitting, I admitted to my problem. I am not like that anymore, to the point where we haven't all been out to eat in a long time. We was all out to eat, and I order steak. When I order, everybody looks at me like he's gonna say it. I'll go medium. I mean, it's like I've overcome that, Kevin. But this is the thing. I'm also not the head coach of Oklahoma making over $6 million, and I post that. That is ridiculous.
It looks like a scene from Dune. Like I'm going over the landscape of the desert.
It doesn't look
good. Yeah. Like the thing is this. The great Herm Edwards.
Like that looks like a
tree.
tree.
Very, very careful. No. This is
or like you tan too much.
Yeah. Like you gotta some bark and stuff like
this is pit
beef jerky.
It does. This is pit master arrogance right here. You're not like, listen, Lincoln, I get it, but that's why everything, just because it's like being able to sing and your family say you can sing and then you go to American Idol and you stink. This is not good enough to be.
Yeah, what do you think? Did his family force themselves to eat this? How many
No, that's probably what they're used to.
No, but how many?
If you're used to
that's
that,
fine.
you think that
that's
tastes
fine.
good.
But how many chews does it take to get down one bite? Like how?
No. That's one of those things to where everybody's around the table, and you're trying to bite at the same time somebody else bite it, and look at them like you taste it too.
Like 10 bites, but 10?
I have a somewhat unique perspective.
Like your jaw sore
on this. Like you have some unique perspective. You've in prior past jobs have worked in kitchens, so you know what's for. I have done food judging and contests on various things, whether it be barbecue,
King of the Hog coming up,
or chili or anything like that. I've done several of those things. I always have to tell myself before I get into judging to keep open minds. Like, look, no matter what you think, it could be good, it could be bad. Somebody out there thinks this tastes good, whether it's good or not. You know what I'm saying? So somebody thinks this.
Hold on. And that's
so good.
And that's go ahead, Chris. That's sad. It's sad that it's like this. If this is how you got introduced to like brisket or whatever, you're never gonna eat it again because you're gonna.
Look, the smoke rings. The smoke rings are even brown. They're supposed to be pink.
No. This is what this was, Christian. Mrs. Riley said, "Don't post this, dude, because I'm telling you, sweetie, I tell you this because it's for your like your overall, like, you know what I'm saying, like confidence, baby. This stuff look good. No, the hell it don't."
He said this slaps. It's a bop.
No.
That
stuff thinks that their recipe or how they do it is the best ever. So
that look like burnt bread on the top. That look like bread that's burnt on the top.
Is Lincoln Riley invited to the cookout with that brisket?
No, Lincoln Riley. Listen, not only is Lincoln Riley not invited, he better not get out his car bringing stuff to the cookout.
And I know he's a big fan of the show, but a guy that does post food on Twitter a lot, this actually looks very good. Jared Binko, AD.
Jared Binko, talk to your boy.
Jared Binko,
my
no
man
pun intended.
works the Blackstone like nobody.
Yeah, no pun intended, but Jared Binko smoking Lincoln Riley.
Oh, yes. Jared Binko, we should send Jared Binko a picture of that and say, how disrespectful
is that? Oh, he's seen
that?
it and he's laughed at it. And he is currently trying to get Oklahoma on the schedule.
Yes.
All right, take 3. Guys, I know you're all big history fans here.
Yes.
On this date in 1792, George Washington cast the first ever presidential veto. He said,
that means
"Get
300 years after Columbus sailed the ocean."
That would be correct. He said, "Get this the hell off my desk. We ain't doing it." So I'm curious. You guys were the president of sports.
Yes.
What would be the first rule change that's come around in the last few years that you would immediately veto?
Oh man, this is pretty easy for me. One, I'm just going to preemptively veto the universal DH, but really one that's enacted.
The preemptive executive veto.
Yes, the preemptive. But the one I would veto that is actually in, and I will say it for baseball because I'm a baseball fan, is the runner goes to second at the start of extra innings. Get rid of that. That's ridiculous. Terrible. Play it out. If we're going to finish the game, finish the game. I would say I would have said football, the sudden death. I know people are like, come on, man. If you can't, no, I'm sorry. You shouldn't win because you win the coin flip. Like, if you're going to say their defense is trash and we went down the field and scored, well, maybe your defense is trash and the other team just didn't get the ball. So those two things that are gone. Runner on second base, extra innings, veto it out of there, and no sudden death NFL. Play it out. Even if you only play 8 minutes instead of a full quarter. Play it out. Whoever wins, wins.
Oh, for me in college, no more targeting. Get it out. I mean, what in the world? I mean, Christian knows this. Look, the goal is to run fast and hit hard. That is the premise of football. We're going to run fast and we're going to hit the other color as hard as possible. Why is it when that actually happens? That's a problem. Did you see his body? Yes, because that is the goal. I want him to get up. But listen, you sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. And I'm vetoing this right now. Like, if I can veto, Christian, you're going to love this. If I am getting ready to score and I fumble the ball through the end zone, don't give the ball to the other team. I just fumbled it through the end zone. Nobody touched me. I was excited. Give me the ball back on the 20-yard line and let us continue what we was doing.
Dude, that's not a veto. That's a law change there. But
you just want to straight up.
The first one, I could be with you on. Like my veto would be just the roughing the passer calls that are there now is just
it's ridiculous,
atrocious. You can't even breathe on the quarterback anymore.
Did you touch him? I did.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'm vetoing, and the second thing I'm vetoing is the pass interference reviews. I mean, that's just it's too much. It's like with balls and strikes in baseball. You're gonna get some calls your way. You're gonna get some calls not going your way. But the fact we're stopping the game to go and review it, and we're still getting it wrong, is atrocious. I think you should just go back to, I thought the best officiated game was the Super Bowl that we saw. And you're seeing it now, Kevin, in the NCAA tournament. When you just let the guys play, it just makes the product so much better. If you let Julio 100%. Jones and Lattimore just hand fight with each other and go after each other, and unless it's like a clear, like you do in the playoffs, it just makes the game that much better versus just giving people 40 yards at a time when there's not a catch. So, yeah, I'm vetoing the reviewing of the pass interference calls.
So what we're saying is there's plenty to veto.
There's so much to veto.
Just you're going to be out there with your red pen.
You
better hope I don't come for your sport.
Just like a rhythmic gymnastic, only with a pen. It's just
of course. Like they try to get to the meeting. They're like, Christian, Ben, Kevin, what would you like? I'd like to say, forget all this. Let's start getting back to what these sports are. I start on second base. That's trash. I already got a bunch of DH kids and I'm coaching saying, Coach, who plays defense? Oh, big
That's the only thing I would change to Ben's, and I'd say bring this law back, and I won't veto it if you make this change, is make targeting in college football the same as it is in the NFL, where if you deem it to be targeting, it's just a 15-yard penalty, and the guy doesn't get kicked out of the damn game.
The ejections are terrible.
It's this game's happening 1,000 miles an hour, and you're going to take a kid out of a game.
God forbid he hit somebody.
Yeah,
that's too hard, man.
That's true. That would be item 2 on my veto list. Get rid of the ejection for targeting. That's take 3. We do it every day here at this time. What rules would you veto? Love to hear from you. At Pigskin Radio on Twitter. Give us your suggestions there. We'll come back. We'll talk some Georgia football. Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily, going to join us following the first scrimmage there for the University of Georgia over the weekend in spring ball. And we'll break it down next here on 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're with us here on this Monday. Busy weekend in Athens. First scrimmage by the Dogs here during spring practice. Joining us here to break that down and more from Dogs Daily, good friend of the show, Brooks Austin, joins us here on 3 and Out. Brooks, welcome. How are you?
We're doing well, Kevin. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. What were the highlights, I guess, of the practice that stood out to you before we kind of get into some more in-depth things?
I mean, everybody wanted to know what the wide receiver group was going to look like with no George Pickens and no Jermaine Burton for the moment. And honestly, if you could just like create a great value brand version of George Pickens and Jermaine Burton, I think you would come up with something that looks a lot like Justin Robinson and Demetris Robinson. And those were the two guys that ultimately stepped up on Saturday. Just some young guys that flashed. Adonai Mitchell's been having a great camp and continued as such this Saturday. But all in all, I mean, nowadays at this point in time, and Ben, you know this as well as anybody else, spring practice is typically dominated by the defense. They just see ball, get ball. They don't really have to go through much offensive install or, defensive install for those guys. They just run and hit. And Georgia's at a point now where even despite all the injuries, their offense can still, kind of dictate how these scrimmages go. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday.
And Brooks, even to mention, even sticking with a guy like Demetris Robinson, obviously, I mean, since he transferred in, from Cal, hasn't really had the impact you thought he would. Had definitely playing in the slot. You talk about him looking really, really good. How much can he benefit not just from these practices, but establishing himself as maybe that number 2 guy, behind Jermaine Burton?
Yeah, I think he's going to be in a mix of a bunch of guys next year. I think you're going to look at a guy like Kearis Jackson. Also, they're expected to get Dominic Blaylock back at some point. So he'll be back in that mix as well. You got to get Arian Smith a bunch of touches. I don't think it's been a matter of course, he's not the same, Biletnikoff award watch list into the preseason type of player that he was out there at Cal, but he's amongst a bunch of dudes now at Georgia, and yet maybe he didn't fully bounce back from that knee injury out there at Cal, but he can still burn. He can still do one thing. He can still run in a straight line and go fast. He's always been able to do that. And Todd Monken's going to be able to scheme him open for those opportunities. I think you're going to see those touch and go moments from Demetris, similarly to the way you are from Arian Smith. Real vertical aspects of the football game and of the offense will go to those guys there from within the slot. Whereas, a guy like Kearis Jackson might get some bubbles, might get some slants, might get some screen passes, and Jermaine Burton or Dominic Blaylock might be guys that are really getting loose on double moves and really running the refined routes. And, it's all about finding your role, and I think they'll find a role for Demetris this year for sure, no matter what.
I was going to say, Brooks, in the air raid, and maybe Todd Monken is running a modified version of it, it seems like the concept is simply get the balls quickly into the hands of your playmakers and let them do work. Is that kind of what you're seeing here from Georgia in scrimmage? I know they're not going to show their cards when the public's allowed to see anything right now, but is that kind of the concept you think they're trying to develop there with their wide receivers?
I mean, it was very vanilla this weekend from everything I've been told from sources. Of course, it's not open to anybody, so you can watch it from the bridge, but you're really not going to see much. But, it was a very vanilla attack. I think you're going to see a lot more screen games, but in terms of getting the ball out of your hands, this is still an offense that's going to take shots. They're going to be taking deep shots. They're going to run heavy play action occasionally. I mean, Monken went 2 tight ends a lot last year. I think they're going to do that a lot this year. Another name that's popping off during camp is Brock Bowers. I'm told he is bona fide. He is the future. He is all as advertised and all that. 6'4", 230 pounds, and can really run away from guys as a tight end. That's not something Georgia's had over the last couple of years. They've had the solid blockers in Charlie Warner. They've had the above average target in Eli Wolf. They've had the really big target in Darnell Washington. What they really haven't been able to utilize is a guy that can really create plays after the catch with the ball in his hands at the tight end position, and Bowers is one of those. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on in practice or what they're ultimately going to look like because they're still really, really early on in this process, and they're really vanilla offensively.
And Brooks, obviously, JT Daniels is the man as far as like being the starter. But how has that backup quarterback position, looked? I mean, I know the most loved player and most loved person on any college campus is the backup QB. Don't expect him to get a lot of time this year, except for some blowouts. But who's kind of like been showing themselves to be the lead dog right there at that backup spot?
If if they were playing tomorrow, Ben, I would think that Stetson Bennett would be that backup quarterback. He's getting very limited reps all spring. And I think Kirby kind of, talked about it a little bit last year as far as they know what they've got in Stetson. You know what you've got. I think he got like maybe 1 or 2 series this weekend. And the first time he got in, he drove the offense down the field and scored. So if they were to play tomorrow, I think Stetson's the backup. But the real talk of the camp for me is it's been guys like Adonai Mitchell. It's been Justin Robinson offensively, but it's also been Carson Beck, the quarterback out of Jacksonville that they signed in 2020. It's not a guy that was really talked about in 2020 last year. I mean, real quiet around him. Didn't really hear a lot of information about him. A real silent kind of year in his freshman redshirt season. And now in this spring camp, it's nothing but positive news coming out about Carson Beck in terms of his performance at practice and how he looks out there during practice and during scrimmage and probably cementing himself in terms of the bulk of the reps in practice right now, again, because they know what they have in Stetson. Carson Beck's getting a lot of those twos reps. He's running a lot with those twos, and Brock Vandagriff's running a lot with those threes. And Stetson kind of gets in and where he fits and where he sees whenever they can get him some reps. So that's kind of how the rotation's shaking out, according to what I've been told. And Beck is having a phenomenal offseason top to bottom.
Buy into some of that they put out there. Obviously, Carson Beck's very talented, but you also have a 5-star guy who just came in. How much of that do you think is Beck's actually looks good versus, hey, we don't need Vandagriff reading his own headlines in the paper or tweets and all that, talking about how he's come in and really played well and we want to keep him hungry. How much of that do you think is happening versus how much is it actually, Carson Beck's come in and look like a solid 2?
So I've been around Georgia's program for like 2.5 seasons now. I'm not one of these lifetime lifers in this market, but from my understanding of what information comes out of Georgia, they don't. Kirby Smart doesn't drive narratives. He doesn't leak information. That staff doesn't leak information to help drive narratives or suppress narratives or whatever. All they do is try to control as much information as they can. If anything, they try to keep information from going out. They're not out here giving out information. So, the narrative-driven stuff, I don't think that's what's going on. I think Beck's just having a good camp and having a good offseason. And finally, coming into his own as a college football player. When you get to college as a highly touted or highly touted high school football player, and then you kind of have a very, very humbling experience your first 6 months, you can either tuck tail and run, or you can buck up and become a professional and approach the game as a professional. And from all indications, that's what's happening right now with Carson Beck, and it's leading to results in practice and on the field.
Austin, I mean, Brooks, you mentioned that defense is just running and hitting. And I think sometimes when you talk about spring, that is kind of what you want. You want your defense kind of flexing his muscle a little bit. You know about the Kobe Dean and those guys. You know about Jordan Davis. Are there some newcomers that's saying to themselves, "Look, man, I want to be a part of this rotation that's going to get to this quarterback"?
Chaz Chambliss has been getting a lot of reps. A lot of reps. The outside linebacker out of Carrollton High School. Guys, he's about 6'3.5", maybe 240 pounds, 245 pounds. Got an insane motor. I was talking to one guy today, and he actually said he's going to be that David Pollock type player, just in the sense that he plays extremely hard, hair on fire, constantly, and he's going to make his living as a guy who plays on the edge of the defensive line. And it took one in the building to understand that this is one of the hardest workers, not only that we've had on this team, but apparently one that we've had in a long time at this program. They can't keep him out of the weight room. They can't keep him out of the facility. They can't keep him out of the film room. And they're not going to be able to keep him off of the field. If that's what the profile is, if that's what's happening day in and day out, Kirby Smart's going to play that guy. It's going to happen. That kid's going to get on the field. And you've seen that now, or well, not publicly, but from what we're being told, he's getting a lot of run with not necessarily with the ones, but he's getting a lot of run with the twos. And there's not a lot of incoming freshmen, early enrollee freshmen that are ready to do that on a down in and down out basis in the spring of their freshman year.
Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily on SI, joining us here on a 3 and Out. Brooks, what can you tell us about Tyke Smith, West Virginia defensive back?
Man, I'll have a lot more tonight on our film breakdown over on YouTube. That'll be live for everybody. So if you want to check that out, just search Brooks Austin on YouTube. But hey, man, this is a star. This is a nickel corner for Georgia. I don't think this dude can play deep safety in the SEC, but that's okay. Inside the numbers, from the numbers to the other, from the hashes, in between the hashes, in the box, basically is what I'm trying to tell you. This dude's an All-American. That's what he was last year. In and around that box, hanging out in the alley, being over that number 3 wide receiver, and making an impact both on the stretch run game and that quick passing attack. That's what this dude does, and he does it at an All-American level. And that's, for the most part, what Georgia needed. Everyone wants to talk about corner. They don't have a single start at corner. That's all fine. They also only have one career start at star, which is by far, hands down, the most important position for that Georgia defense. They live, breathe, and die through their star position. It dictates their entire defense. And they didn't have quality starter depth, period, at that position. And they just got an All-American at that position. That's what just happened Sunday night for Georgia, in my opinion.
And Brooks, how much better is that going to make it for those young DBs? I mean, I do think we make a lot about those outside guys. Yes, everybody wants to have a lockdown guy on the outside, but the new in position, not just in college, but in pros, is a slot. The guy that play over that third receiver, the guy that can blitz, the guy that can be off a short tackle, a guy that can definitely go out there and cover that guy who's going to be that target on third down. How much better is that that young secondary going to be with a guy like Tyke Smith, who takes away, a lot, for those young guys, as far as like trying to read and react, they can just go out there and play because he gonna fill a lot of holes.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you an additional playmaker in the back end. But I think a lot that's going to help out here, Ben, is that because of the lack of depth at the star position, you had young players like, Javon Ballard's training there now, the freshman corner or freshman defensive back. But David Daniel, the freshman safety, was having to, take some reps over there too. Major Burns, a young player, having to take reps over there too. Chris Smith, an older player, having to take reps over at star too, just to make sure that they had enough quality depth in case an injury were to occur at that position. That pressure is now alleviated a little bit, which might leave, hey, David Daniel, young freshman safety that we have all the promise in the world in, go focus on safety and safety alone, because the star playbook is really, really extensive. Like I just told you, it's the defense lives and breathes through it. It's a whole lot less pressure playbook-wise and schematic-wise for these young players to now not necessarily have to worry about learning that position, because it's a lot to swallow and a lot to digest.
Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily on SI, our guest here on 3 and Out. Again, check Brooks out on YouTube. We'll have that film breakdown on Tyke Smith coming up later tonight. Brooks, always a pleasure. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, we'll see you at 8:15, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks much. Brooks Austin joining us here on 3 and Out. Talk some Dogs football, first scrimmage of the spring season happening this past weekend. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We'll come back. We'll give you our big boards as we head towards the NFL draft next here on this Monday. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out on this Monday afternoon. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are live on ESPNCoastal.com, also live Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Of course, earlier this hour, the Jets trade away Sam Darnold to the Panthers, which means they're locked in at quarterback there at 2. Pretty much feel like the 49ers are going to take one at 3 there as well as we count down towards the draft. Ben, what does your big board look like, though? Because, again, a lot of times people get those confused. It's like, oh, well, Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1. Well, that doesn't mean anything. Maybe he's not the number 1 player on your board. He's just the quarterback you want, and so you go get him. What the big board looks like and what the draft board look like are two completely different things. But we're going to try to put together our own top 10 draft boards here as we get ready for the draft. I'll start with you. Lay it on us, Ben.
All right, now I will say that Sam Darnold going to the Panthers definitely. I had to go back through and redo my draft.
No. That changes the draft order, not necessarily your big board.
Well. Okay. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just gonna try to put my Terry Fontenot hat on. Okay, number 1 is gonna be Trevor Lawrence. I don't want to hear this. That's what we're thinking about doing. Urban Meyer, get out of here with that nonsense. Trevor Lawrence, it's easy. I'm not dealing with it. The Jets have fallen in love. Right?
No, this is your big board, not the draft.
We're not mock drafting it, Ben. We just need your 10 best players.
We need your 10 best players.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm sorry. I BJ'd this thing. I'm not going to change it, but I got it. All right,
change it. Let me do mine.
You don't think Kyle Pitts is better than
all right, well, yeah. Let Kevin do his.
Let me do mine, and then you can redo
just
yours.
10 best overall players in the draft. What the hell do you guys
do? I was like, again,
what do you do during these show meetings, Kevin?
I apologize.
Big board
It's
together.
not what you said, it's what I heard. I apologize.
Yes. So big board, not your draft order. So my number 1, I still put Trevor Lawrence there. I think he's been talked about as the quarterback prototype, and I think regardless of what you think about Justin Fields or Zach Wilson or whoever, if you have the number 1 pick, that will be the guy you're going to take with that number 1 pick. My number 2, Ben, Kyle Pitts. I think he's, again, just a dynamic game changer. You look at the size, the speed, what he can do. I mean, that's instant offense wherever he goes. He's my number 2 on the big board. My number 3 may surprise you, but I actually put Justin Fields there. I thought a playmaker, big-time program, played in big-time games, got the job done for Ohio State. I think if you're looking for leadership characteristics from your quarterback, he was one of the guys that was at the forefront of even getting the Big Ten to play this year. So, obviously, he wants to play. He comes out of a program that's putting NFL dudes out there, and he was a big part of their team here in 2020. So, I got Justin Fields, number 3. My number 4, Penei Sewell, lineman. Look. He's going to be up there. He's the one that everybody talks about that they want, and you can't go wrong drafting those linemen. My number 5, Jamar Chase. And again, I think, Ben, he's at 5 on my big board. He's at between 5 and 10. I think on a lot of people's big board might be even higher had he played in 2020. I don't know how much, but I think if he played, he could have been a little farther up there. My number 6 is beginning a run of Alabama guys on my board here in just a little bit, but Jalen Waddle, number 6. For me, dynamic wide receiver. Again, I think he goes very early in this draft. I moved Zach Wilson down to number 7. Do I think he is deserving of that? I think when I put him there, it's kind of a combination of he's thought of very highly by NFL guys. He's going to get drafted high. I don't think he's a top 5 player in the draft, but I think he's got a lot of talent. I will put him there at number 7. My number 8, Micah Parsons, another guy that I think would be more solidly on a lot of people's top 10s had he played in 2020 and not opted out. And again, people are entitled to do what they want to do, but I think that's a guy that he may be high on a lot of draft boards. He may not get drafted till later in the first round simply because he didn't play in 2020. My number 9, Devonta Smith. I don't really think I need to say anything else other than look at the game tape. And then my number 10, I go another Alabama guy, Patrick Surtain. Again, there's a reason Alabama is so good, and that's because they have dudes, and you could have done Christian Barmore. There's a whole bunch of guys, but my Patrick Surtain, my number 10. Ben, are you ready, or should I go to?
Are
you ready?
Are you ready? Okay.
All right, my number one, I do agree is Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I be Trevor Lawrence, one of those type of people to where I be looking to find like kinks in his armor, like he's not that good. No, he's that good. The young man is built for the limelight. He's built to be the face of a franchise. I think he's gonna make Jacksonville a winner right now in that division. My number two is Kyle Pitts. He is gonna be a guy to where he is coming into the league when they are embracing the tight end as a weapon on offense. And if you can't find a way to write up plays for him, you should not be an offensive coordinator. You should not be a coach. Number three is Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell, if you've seen him run his 40, I mean, a man that big, moving that fast, and the best play they showed him, he pancaked the guy. They threw a pick. He jumped up and made the freaking tackle. Penei Sewell, to me, is going to be a guy, a 10-year vet, a 10-year All-Pro. Number four is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase did not play football in 2020. Who cares? Did you see him in 2019? He was uncoverable. The guy is the truth, and he's going to make he's already coming to the league as the number one receiver. Number five is Justin Fields. I know everybody want to talk about all these other quarterbacks. It is Justin Fields. He ran a 4.4 just to show you I'm an athlete. He go through and watch the tape, outdo Trevor Lawrence, I think, in both years, even though he lost to Trevor Lawrence, a couple of years ago, was able to redeem himself. My number six is Zach Wilson. I had to go through Christian and really look at Zach Wilson's tape. The young man can ball. You might not like, he has that Johnny Manziel in him. He knows he's good. But I like a guy who's confident. Give me Zach Wilson. Number seven, Kevin, I agree. Listen, Micah Parsons is the truth. Listen, if it moves on offense, he's going to hit it. If it moves, and can play both the middle and if you want to let him play on the outside. And I know, Christian, versatility. I think he can do both. I think he's going to be a star. My number eight is Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle can go over the top. These slot receivers that can run, I know they'd be like, well, yeah, Ben, I mean, no, this guy can flat out run. He can flat out get it done. You're going to have to find a way to make sure that he is healthy. But I think Jalen Waddle is going to be a player. My number nine, I do like Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is worth I think he's one of those guys to where going to be a project because you got to get you a QB for the future. I think you got to go get him. And Kevin, you went with Patrick Surtain. I'm going to go the other way. Give me the young man out of South Carolina. J.C. Horn plays football, people. J.C. Horn is a dog, even though he played for South Carolina. No point intended.
He's the opposite of a dog, yes.
But no. I ain't talking about the D-A-W-G. I'm talking about the D-O-double-G, not Snoop at the front. But yeah, J.C. Horn is makes up my top 10. Christian, I finally got it right. The floor is yours, sir.
There we go. No, I'll go through mine quick. I agree. Trevor Lawrence, clear number one player in this draft. You're silly if you don't take him with the number one overall pick. So hold your breath because Jacksonville is on the board. But I have Penei Sewell number two. I just think he's a ridiculous athlete. Like Ben said, I'm trying to grade these guys out kind of like Madden rankings when they come into the NFL and just in a vacuum. And Penei Sewell to me is clearly the second best prospect. Not far behind him, though, Kyle Pitts. Not only do I think he's the best tight end in this class, I think he's the best pass catcher / receiving threat in this class. Like you're at the 20 and you need a touchdown and you got Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, or Kyle Pitts. You're targeting Kyle Pitts. So I'll take Kyle Pitts there. I do have Jamar Chase next, Devonta Smith immediately following him. I think Chase is going to be a better NFL wide receiver, but I would not be surprised if Devonta Smith goes on to be a Pro Bowler year after year. Justin Fields, I have at number 6. Rashawn Slater, number 7. I got Zach Wilson at number 8. I'm not quite as sold on him as some other teams. Ben, I think the best comment I had about Justin Fields and Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence doing the throw where they roll out to their left and they kick it back and they throw it 60 yards on a dime in their shorts and it looks awesome. Somebody commented, they go, when was the last time you saw Tom Brady or Peyton Manning make that throw? Never. Yeah. You never saw them make that throw. You know why? Because they're on time. And to me, that's what matters more than anything is you can read a defense, get to the correct read within 2-3 seconds and just make the easy throw and keep your offense on time. You don't need to boot out to the left and throw the no-looker 70 yards over the DB because if you're not Patrick Mahomes, more likely than not, it's getting picked off in return for a touchdown. So Zach Wilson, he's got a huge arm. He's got the fresh haircut, wears the bandana. He's cool. Kind of looks like Jim McMahon from the Bears when he wears the bandana. I think he's fine, but he's not, to me, a top 5 player in this draft. Micah Parsons is number 9. And I have Jalen Waddle rounding out my top 10. Kind of what Ben said, Kevin. I remember in the SEC championship a couple years ago, he got the crossing route about 10 yards and then just separated from Tyson Campbell, Richard LeCount, J.R. Reed. Like they had him dead to rights and he turned on like the 5th gear that he has and just separated from them. The dude's different. I think he's going to be explosive. I think he's the 3rd best receiver in this class, but But I mean, any of those three guys, if you
Yeah.
get one of them, you're happy. So that's my top 10.
So there's our top 10 big boards. Take them to the bank. That's what's going to happen with terms of the top players. But again, we'll talk about this final. After the top 3 picks, the Falcons could have their pick of any position in the draft, number 1 on their board. We'll see what they do. We've got more to come. We'll break it down in the final hour. Look at the Braves, talk some Masters with Rich Styles and more. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you. No Braves today. They will be back tomorrow with a afternoon game. You'll have Christian Gokel second down, leading up to 250 with the pregame coverage. And because of today's postponement, Braves and MLB announced there will be a doubleheader on Wednesday, 12 o'clock first pitch for game one. Game two will begin 30 minutes after game one. And keep in mind, because of Rob Manfred and his brilliance, we're only playing 7 innings during doubleheaders. Because, I mean,
People just coming for Rob Manfred.
why? He's terrible. I mean,
He's the greatest
hey, man,
sports
we got some things we got to do, and we just want to hurry up and get the game over. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to play 3 quarters, and then we're going to play 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then the game's just going to be over. That's it. It's done. No, it's ridiculous. Play the game like the game's supposed to be played. Don't just give runners on second base. Don't just say, well, if you play a doubleheader, we're only going to play 7 innings. But why? Anyways, that's my rant. I'll step aside, but we'll have a doubleheader on.
Well, don't step aside yet.
Wednesday.
We gotta take us. We got like another.
Ben's
We got
wanted
like
to
another
jump in.
minute.
I was going to say, Kevin. I mean, I'm just saying. When you talk about Rob Manfred, is he the worst ever? Yes. But we're going to look back in the history books, and they're going to say, "Hey, man, how did baseball have a 2020 season?" The commissioner stepped in.
Yeah.
And they should have had the worst commissioner of all time.
I mean, he's up there. I mean, we're playing for a hunk of metal, and we're just gonna, hey, let's hurry up and finish games. We'll just put guys on second, like we do in Little League, and we'll just do it that way. And then if you play a doubleheader, we'll just play 7 innings and just let that be it. We gave you a 26-man roster, but no, don't worry about that. We'll just play 7 innings. It's fine. We'll come back. I got 10 seconds, and then Christian's going to yell at me. It's 3 and out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We're streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Hit us up on Twitter as well, at Pigskin Radio. Great to be here with you on this Monday. Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett, not here. Ben Troop is here with us on 3 and Out. We'll chat with Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show Masters this week. We'll do a little fun show draft. We'll pick, 3 golfers each with Rich, and we'll see who actually gets one that wins when it comes to the Masters.
Probably none of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. It's hard to predict. I just want, is anybody going to have the stones to take Bryson in their draft? I know Christian loves Bryson. So
sure. It's one word for it.
We'll see what happens when Rich comes on the show and we get to that. We'll also break down a couple scenarios that could play themselves out here at the top of the NFL draft, especially now that the Jets have traded Sam Darnold. Now pretty much everybody locked into quarterback there, at the very least in the top 3. Leaves some very interesting potential scenarios for Atlanta. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later this hour. But no Braves baseball today. They would be on here at this time. They were scheduled to. COVID issues on the Nationals. Major League Baseball said they're good to go for tomorrow. So the Braves play a 4:00 game tomorrow. And today's game will be played as part of a doubleheader on Wednesday. So after today, it'll be a couple of days before you hear from us again here on 3 and Out. At least Christian will have second down for you tomorrow. But again, a lot to get to there with the Braves, who are 0-3 and are now facing a obviously well-rested Nationals team and the top 3 of their rotation to get things started, Ben. So a rough series, not going to get any easier when you're facing some top-notch pitching back-to-back like this.
The Braves going to have to show some fight. I mean, I know it's early in the season, Kevin, as you mentioned. I mean, you still got 159 games left, but the Braves need to show their bats can go out there and make it happen. I mean, I know coming into every season, it's all about the pitching, it's all about the bullpen. Well, those 2 things are check. Now, the fact that we saying that if we don't have Kung Fu Panda, hitting his home run. I think when you look at this Braves lineup, you ask yourself, who's going to be the guy? I know we talked about it earlier. It's going to be Acuna. It's going to be Freddie Freeman. It's going to be Isaac. For my money, I hope it's Marcel, just because he can run around those bases and whip it up, hit you with the selfie. But it's supposed to be this way. The National League East is one of the most competitive divisions in baseball. You know that every single team has good pitching. Every single team got great lineups. I think this Braves team got to go out there and prove it. I know they are the defending NL East champs, but Christian, for my money, they're going to have to go out there and prove it because Strasburg and Scherzer, they are coming and they are still really, really good.
Well, I got to do it for BJ today, right? Market correction coming, right? There's going to be a market correction coming.
At least you hope. Yes.
Look, Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, Marcell Ozuna, Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, none of them have gone yard. And outside of really Dansby,
none of them have done much of anything.
Well, I was going to say, outside of Dansby and Ronald, not a ton of them have really hit the ball hard either. So you got to feel like that's coming. And once it starts clicking, it's really, like I said, you got to regress towards the mean, market correction, all of it. It's coming for the Washington Nationals. I would be worried. They'd feel a lot better, Kevin, if the Braves were coming in after sweeping the Phillies and putting up 10 runs a game because, like I said, market correction going the other way.
Yeah, especially right out of the gate like that. I think you're catching a team that's now got a day to refocus itself, get ready to take on the Nationals as well. I mean, you look at a series, guys, this is one of the highest scoring teams in Major League Baseball last year, right? Hit a lot of home runs, put runs on the board. They scored 3 runs in 3 games. 3. And 2 of them came off a pinch hit home run from Kung Fu Panda. So by and large, for 3 days, for 27 innings, your starters mustered 1 run, right? I mean, you have been ice cold offensively. Now, the good news is through all that, your pitching has been what you hoped it would be, right? Maybe stuff that you get used to seeing in the early season, like, hey, Max Fried threw way too many pitches in his start, but by and large got out of there with a chance for you to win it. I think Charlie Morton, I mean, they didn't win the game, but he gave up a couple of bleeders and dunks. That happens. And you got outdueled by a guy who was absolutely balling in Zach Wheeler, and he also got a hold of you twice. That didn't help matters there. But it was a close ball game. You just got out pitching dueled in that one. And then Sunday, again, offense just didn't do much, but Ian Anderson got to hit at the plate. I know you don't count that up, but he pitched 5 solid innings as a starter. You were able to, again, work some late inning magic to tie the ball game up. You just couldn't hold it. Chris Martin goes out with an injury. the go ahead run scores, and that's it. But you were in every ball game you played. You just haven't been. And again, in every ball game, mind you, doing nothing offensively, absolutely nothing. And you could say, well, no, nothing. 20 straight guys retired on Saturday's game. Didn't score till the 7th inning of Sunday's game, or 8th inning. You did nothing offensively, and that that's going to change, and you still had a chance potentially. I say, if you look at the way the game was played, you had a chance to be 2-1 in that series when at the end of the day, and you're not, but you played well enough that you could have been, despite the fact that you were just ice cold at the plate pretty much throughout the entire roster.
The baseball gods, Ben, were not smiling on the Braves this weekend. It's all the soft hits for the Phillies were falling, and they got so many infield hits. The game winner in game 1, Kevin, where it just bounces over Austin Riley's head, where it looked like a little league hit, right? Where he just kind of bounce it off the home plate and it bounces over the third baseman. And then the Braves just mashing the ball. It was just right at people, Ben.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, though, Christian, the one thing you can appreciate about sports, I'd rather we all stink at the same time, right? That way, ain't nobody walking through the dugout or the locker room looking at each other. But like I said, it's about to rain on somebody, Kevin. I can just see it coming just from a frustration standpoint. But let's call it what it really is. Our lineup is stinking right now. Like if the Braves pitching stunk, we would say it stinks. What are they doing? Ronald, I love you. Marcel, I'm glad to have you. Freddie Free, congratulations on the MVP. Ozzie, you better start doing something in that 2-hole dance. We stink as a team. We got to get it going because, Kevin, I'm telling you, I can't live with these 3-2 games. I cannot live. I can
use a nice 7-1.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, Christian, can this team still have those late game heroics? I don't like it, but I can live with it because if all we got right now is saving us is Kung Fu Panda, that doesn't help me sleep well at night. We're gonna have to get these bats going, Kevin. And when listen, I've done a BJ reference. Christian pulled out the phone to do the market correction or whatever. So whatever we need, market correction, good correction. I'm seeing a shrink. We need to get back to the winning ways because I'm gonna need to see that production, Kevin. Because if you start matching our lineup with that pitching, how dangerous do you think this Braves team could be, even if it's early?
No, and again, I think that's the one thing. If you're a Braves fan sitting here 0-3, it's disappointing the start, but you know that this team has the potential to do so much more. And once that does, I think I kind of view pitching the way people view defense in basketball. Like, more often than not, pitching doesn't necessarily have to take a day off because there's multiple guys that can come in there and get the job done. I mean, you're not going to have A+ stuff, but I think you have enough guys in this rotation, Fried, Morton, and Soroka, when he gets back, that you feel like more often than not are going to give you at least a B+ effort on the mound and give you a chance to win. Now, Ian Anderson looks good so far. Again, I'm interested to see how there's going to be some games where he just gets tattooed, and we'll see about Drew Smyly as the number 5 when we get there. But, I think when the bats come alive, watch out, because this feels like a team that could start 0-3, and if they just hit the rhythm, could roll off 6 or 7 in a row, and people will forget that they started 0-3 at the end of the day.
What's a good result from these next couple of days for you? Because I think getting out,
you can't go 0-3 again. Obviously,
yeah, I think getting out 1-5, 2-4, I think is fine. Obviously, 1-5, not great, but still against the pitchers you're gonna have to go up against, just get a win, get to the homestand, and I think you're okay. But yeah, you gotta scratch one across. Obviously, the dream is to get a sweep.
Sure.
Don't know how likely that is with Scherzer and Strasburg.
I think realistically, you go with the Braves philosophy of just win series 2 out of 3, knowing that you got Strasburg, Scherzer at least, and Patrick Corbin in the third game. That's not easy under any circumstances to go out there and just say we're going to win. But yeah, I think 0-6 start would be rough. I'm not saying they can't rebound from that, but yeah, 0-6. Especially when all 6 of those games would be against division rivals, would be a tough way to start. Understandable, but you got to scratch one out somewhere. And I feel like the bats will come alive against somebody, even if you have to change the philosophy up of, look, let's get Strasburg out of the game. Let's get Scherzer out of the game. Make him throw 80 pitches in 4 or 5
That's the other
innings.
thing I was going to say. You're not doing that right now.
Yeah,
Braves are swinging at a
patient at all,
lot of first pitches. And I know like Frank Core and them are trying to cover up for him, saying, oh, well, you were 9th in the league in walks last year and you swung at the most first pitches. That's fine. But what got you against the Dodgers? The Dodgers were patient. The Dodgers fought off really good pitches. They didn't get struck out looking, which if I watched one more Brave gets struck out with a bat on their shoulder this series, at least go out swinging, like have a hack. I know the pitch to Ronald in the bottom of the ninth, or the top of the ninth yesterday, is a bad call, right? It's a bad call, clearly low, but you got to take a hack right there, man. I mean, that strike zone had been all over the place. You're Ronald Acuna, you can send that one about 4 rows deep. Got to take a hack, and that's at least foul it off. That's the thing that the Dodgers do is you're going to throw 20 pitches an inning against the Dodgers because they're just that good at the plate. They're not necessarily that much better than the Braves. It's just a different approach. And I don't get this first pitch swing, foul ball strike, and you're down 0-1, 0-2 real quick.
Yeah, you're playing from behind in the count a lot. And again, we'll see if that's a change in the philosophy the Braves take in there to DC tomorrow against Max Scherzer. I know BJ said, hey, he's an aging Max Scherzer, but dude has still got it regardless. Even though, as you said, Christian, the Braves have had some good success against him. Again, we'll see what they do tomorrow. Back at it, afternoon ball game for the Braves. We got a lot to get to here. This hour, we'll talk Masters with Rich Styles. The Back Nine Boys Golf Show. We'll do a little Masters snake draft where we'll each pick 3 golfers and see who winds up atop the leaderboard at the end of this thing when we talk to Rich next week at the end of the Masters. So he'll join us. We'll also break down 2 very interesting scenarios that could very well play themselves out for the Falcons in the draft. We'll get to that a little bit later as well. But we'll come back. We're talking Masters. We're talking golf with Rich Styles. Back Nine Boys Golf Show next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you. Glad you're making us a part of your day. Streaming live at ESPNCoastal.com, also live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as well. And we're glad you're with us. It is Masters Week, which means we have to talk to our next guest, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, Rich Stiles, who joins us here on the show. Rich, welcome. How are you?
Doing great, guys. I hope you are too. Yep. I got it going. Baby.
Got your Masters hat on. Rich, before we get to that, Jordan Spieth hadn't won in 2.5, 3 years. Gets a win at the Valero Open heading into the Masters. I know nobody's won the Masters that won the week before, but could Jordan Spieth be a exception to that?
I think you would have to consider he's been trending up since the first of the year. He's had 5-6 good weeks. He's hitting the ball. He's hitting his irons. And more importantly, he's hitting his putts. And his confidence is up. And when your confidence is up, it's amazing what happens in the game of golf.
And Rich, I mean, obviously everybody, outside of Jordan Spieth, it's all about Dustin Johnson. I know this is about as quick as a turnaround we've ever seen for a defending Masters champion. How do you like his odds going into this Masters, and do you think he got what it takes to win another one?
Of course he's got what it's take, but it depends. Now he needs to stay in a house with no stairs and have an opportunity to get to the golf course. And he's got the game. I mean, there's probably 15, 20 guys out there that has the game to win at the Masters. And it's all about positioning. It's all about not getting big numbers. And it's making putts when you have to.
Rich, you look at having just played this thing back in the fall. How different are we talking here in April? Obviously, folks know more maybe a traditional feel, but how different do you think we'll see the guys play now versus what we just saw back in November?
I think the conditions are going to be somewhat similar. I think the greens may be a little faster. Now that you've had some cold weather, some rain, some wind, and now sun, I think the greens are going to be fast. I think it's going to play pretty much. I mean, the Masters is going to play at Augusta National pretty much the same. You've just got to be in the right position off the tee, have an opportunity to get your ball on the green in the right position. And I remember talking with Mike Shannon when he was going through what he does with Matt Kuchar prior to the Masters. It's trying to get your positioning not above the hole when you're hitting into it. It's more important to be below the hole for your putts. And you really don't want to be on the sides just because of the undulation and how fast the greens are.
And Rich, I mean, obviously Bryson DeChambeau, he's going to go out there and, try to do it his way again. I don't know how successful he's going to be the second time around, but I mean, how much is everybody going to come out of this thing? One, talking about the Masters winner, but two, talking about Bryson DeChambeau just trying to do it Bryson's way.
I think Bryson's going to try and test all the limits, and that's just the way he is every week. Whether or not he's got the full, complete game to win at Augusta National remains to be seen. He's coming off a couple of tournaments where he didn't play, I think, up to his expectations. And I think it just depends on what his mindset is going in. If he's going to try and overpower the golf course, I think he is not going to win. I think the golf course will win in that battle. But I think he's going to have to change his protein shakes to the color green this week so they blend in with all the grass. And I just think it's something that he's just going to have to make some changes to.
Rich, every once in a while at the Masters, we see guys kind of come from off the radar and win that maybe we weren't expecting. Who's a guy that might be kind of laying in the weeds, so to speak, that if they have a good Thursday, Friday, might wind up with a green jacket?
I think you've always got to look at Webb Simpson. Webb has always played pretty well at Augusta. He's got the game to do it. He's got the mindset to do it. And in my opinion, he's probably got one of the best caddies out there, Paul Tesori. And I think if whoever plays his game and they're on and there's no big numbers out there, I think that Webb's got an opportunity to really come in low and have an opportunity to win.
Rich Stiles joining us here on 3 and Out. Rich, having a little trouble with your connection there. We're going to try to get you back on the landline and have you be a part of the show. We're going to get to our snake draft with Rich coming up as well as we get ready to do Masters here, Ben. And again, I think very important what he said. Look, you got to be able to make shots, got to be able to putt. If you're going to overpower the course, that's probably not the best, course of action to try to go at it that way, because it's a shot maker's golf course.
Yeah, and the whole thing about it is, Kevin, I mean, even though Tiger Woods not going to be there, I mean, we wish him a speedy recovery. Everybody wants to have that moment when it comes to the Masters, because what does there is going to be magnified. Bryson DeChambeau, he knows that if he wins, he changes how we look at the game of golf. Well, while that is, while he do got a chance, I don't think it's going to be this course, but yeah, momentum is going to be big. Jordan Spieth is coming in with all the momentum. Dustin Johnson is trying to, go back to back. Rory McIlroy is trying to prove that he can not fade, but I go back to something Christian told me 2 years ago. That last round, man, there's pressure, and then there's pressure in the last round, being in the last group at the Masters. I mean, I don't know how many people can deal with that type of pressure.
Certainly, I believe we are. Are we ready to try our snake draft? We have Rich back on the landline.
Yep.
Rich, we're going to work a little snake draft here on the show. We're going to have a little fun. We're each going to get 3 golfers in the Masters field, and we're going to see who wins this thing, or who ends up at least with the best overall score through a apparently totally democratic process.
Yeah.
Christian said Ben gets to go first.
Well, yeah.
I like to dispute that, because I want to know how I didn't get to go first.
Well, Kevin, it's a snake draft, so Ben will get to go first, and then I'll go. And I have Cam's picks. He gave me a list of names to put in for his picks, and so I'll pick for Cam, and then you get to go, Kevin, and then Rich. But then Rich will go again with his second pick. You'll go Cam, me, Ben. So honestly, Ben is kind of at the disadvantage because he gets his favorite, but then he gets like the 10th best off the board as well. So it's a snake draft.
All right.
That's how it works. So Ben, you're up first. We need 3. Just need your first pick right now.
I mean, I don't know. I've never heard this guy before, man, but I heard he's pretty good. Give me Dustin Johnson.
All right, DJ, go with the reigning champion. I'm gonna go with Justin Thomas with my first pick. I like
both of y'all going out on limbs.
I like it's okay. Just like Trevor Lawrence getting picked number 1 in the NFL draft. Oh wow, we went on a limb. Oh yeah, give me JT there. Cam was up. We took his 2 off there. He had Rory McIlroy actually up on his one.
Oh, that's fine.
Give me Rory. He's not playing well.
Yeah, not playing well at all.
But yeah, I'll give it. Guess who Cam wanted? So Kevin, you're up.
All right, I am, since those 2 are off the board, I'm going to take maybe not much of a flyer, but I think is a guy that's got the game to potentially do it. I'm going to go with Morikawa. I think you'll have some success there at Augusta. Rich, what say you?
I'm going to say Webb Simpson.
Wow, Webb Simpson with his first. All right, Rich, you get another pick here too. Bryson DeChambeau still on the board.
Nope, I'm not picking Bryson. I'm going to pick JT.
Oh no, JT. I already got JT.
Justin Thomas is
off
the board.
John Rahm still on the board. Jordan Spieth, Tony Finau, Xander Schauffele, Brooks.
I'll take Jordan Spieth.
Little JS. That what was it? 2004 or 2006? The last time someone won the week prior and then won the Masters.
That would sound about right. It's an extremely difficult tournament to win.
Phil Mickelson, the last to do it.
Back to back.
Yep.
I'm kind of torn here because I feel like Brooks kept, but I know Brooks has been battling some injuries and stuff. I'm going to go with the crowd favorite at Augusta.
Patrick
Reed. I know nobody but his family will be, well, maybe not even them, but his wife will be cheering for Patrick Reed at the Masters, and I'll pick him up as well.
All right, let me see who Cam has here. I have RD written down, and I just don't know what that means.
That's not good, Christian, if you can't read your own writing.
I don't even know what he had, so I'll just go best available for him. Oh, you know what? No, we'll go Bryson. We'll go Bryson DeChambeau for Cam.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Okay.
All right, I'm back up, and oh boy, it's getting down there. Patrick Cantlay is one of the favorites. Give me John Rahm. I like John Rahm. I like the big fellas out there that don't mind showing off the gut.
Happen. His wife just had a baby.
I'm about to say he just had his first baby, man. Dang it. He's motivated.
Yep. All right. Ben, you are back up.
Man, I'm just saying, he usually gets up for big tournaments. I don't know why. I'll go with Brooks Koepka. I don't know why nobody want to go with Brooks.
All right, Brooks.
Boy.
And then we need your final pick here, Ben.
Oh, man. Man.
Just close your eyes at this point and throw a dart.
You know what? I mean, I don't know if nobody got him yet, man. Let me go with Lee Westwood.
Oh,
That's actually not a
That's a
not
really-
actually
I
not
like
a bad pick.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
all right. I'm gonna go with Tony Finau. He had 3 runner-ups and a 4th place in the last 8 events, and he's just always a guy who's right there. I like him as my 3rd pick as a flyer. I mean, just make sure during the par 3 contest he doesn't get too excited and dislocate another ankle.
There is.
Let me see. I will give Xander Schauffele to Cam.
That's fair. And again, for my pick, I'm going to go a little bit off the. I say off. It's a local guy, Rich, but he always seems to play well and will at least be in the hunt. I'm going to go with Cooch, Matt Kuchar.
Okay. That's a good choice.
All right, Rich, wrap it up here for us. Final pick.
Harris English.
Harris English. There you go.
Hey, that's not bad. I think we all did fairly well. I mean, well, except maybe for Cam, who got auto picked. But I mean,
So, Rich, I know you took Webb Simpson as the 5th overall pick, but who is your favorite this weekend?
I would have to say Justin Thomas. I think he is going to be
Yes, sir.
on. I think he's been playing well, and I just think he'll be excellent this week. I think he'll have a great week.
does the fact that we played this so close together have any effect on it, or is it just November to April? Doesn't matter. I know Dustin Johnson set the world on fire there.
Yeah, but the course was soft.
No, I
Rich.
understand that. That's what I'm
Dustin
asking.
Johnson, it's a sham, right? That record, the scoring record is a sham. He wasn't playing real Augusta. He was playing soft Augusta, right?
I don't think it's going to make any difference whatsoever. If I had a chance to play Augusta, it wouldn't matter to me if it was November, if it was April, if it was May, if it was when it was closed. I would just go out and play.
Rich, they were throwing lawn darts in November. That course wasn't near as hard as it's supposed to be right now.
That's what I said. I think the greens are going to be faster.
Let's go.
They're going to be harder.
Tell
I
them
think
about it.
they'll be a lot quicker than they were in November.
It was a sham. It's a sham. They should have given him like an off-green jacket.
A pea green.
Yeah.
A pea green coat jacket for the Masters.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be coming up this week. Rich, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk soon, and we'll see who comes out on top of our little Masters draft pool here next week when we talk to you.
All right. See you later.
Appreciate it, Rich. Rich Stiles joining us here on the 3 Night. Catch him Saturday and Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Talking golf right here. So appreciate Rich joining us. We will, and again, we didn't do Rich Stiles with Rich Stiles,
Yeah.
but he dropped on the green Augusta
I saw
golf
that,
hat.
yeah.
I mean, that pretty much says all you need to say right there. We'll come back. We're going to break down 2 very interesting scenarios for the Atlanta Falcons in the upcoming draft that really, I think, have a possibility of happening in front of them, given the trade the Jets made, getting rid of Sam Darnold earlier today. We'll break that down next. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com on your mobile device with the ESPN app. We've got obviously the Jets trading Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers. And so that pretty much assures that Zach Wilson is going to go there at number 2, Ben. So we got a couple of scenarios of how the draft could play out. Let's get your response to it. Let's start with scenario number 1. Trevor Lawrence goes 1, Zach Wilson goes 2, and let's say Mac Jones goes number 3. Mac Jones has been getting a lot of run, shooting up draft boards here on maybe the last 3-4 days. We've really seen a lot of Mac Jones interest in the draft. So let's say Lawrence, Wilson, and Jones go number 1, 2, and 3. What do you do if you're Atlanta there at number 4?
Oh, man. I think if Justin Fields is there, Kevin, I think you have to go out there and get him. And this is why. I understand that they went out there and restructured Matty Ice. But don't we live in a what-if world, Kevin? Like, what if this happens? And this is why I say you got to get Justin Fields. I go back to the Nick Foles. Nick Foles made it so that when Carson Wentz got hurt, they still won the Super Bowl. Is Nick Foles better than Carson Wentz? No. Has the Nick Foles experiment worked since he started being a starter? No. But I'm just saying, from a standpoint of this, if the worst I can do is get my starter in here now, making it so that we good with the season, even when, I'm gonna tell you why this. And here's another thing. I'm gonna go way back now. Mark Bolger was he starting quarterback for the St. Louis Rams. Best show on turf. He got hurt. Kurt Warner came in. They never missed a beat. Now, I didn't know who Kurt Warner was then, but I just think, Kevin, if Justin Fields is there, I think you get him, even if he's not going to play this year, maybe not even next year, but at least I got my guy in-house right now because I know people they're going to have quarterbacks every year. I think if Mac Jones goes 3, I think you have to get Justin Fields just from the what-if factor, and we can have him there even if he's not going to be a key contributor from day one.
Yeah, I think, and again, we'll have another scenario to go over. I think it's very tempting if you're the Falcons and it goes quarterback, to look at number 4 and say, I essentially have the number 1 pick in the draft, right? I mean, outside of quarterback, you have the number 1 pick in the draft because the other, as Christian said, the other 21 positions on the field, you can get the number 1 guy at those positions on your big board before anybody else has a chance to do that. And Matt Ryan restructured his contract, so maybe he's a little bit more friendly for the next 2 years. So maybe you're not as in dire need of the quarterback. But in this scenario, and Mac Jones is off the board, and Wilson and Lawrence, and Justin Fields falls to number 4. Man, I got to think long and hard about taking him there and going ahead and jump on it. Because, again, I think you can look at examples of guys who had to sit at least a little bit and say maybe it worked out. I mean, Aaron Rodgers seemed to have worked out. He had to sit. Tom Brady worked out. He had to sit. I mean, granted, he was drafted a little bit later in the draft, but still.
Phillip Rivers had to sit because of Drew Brees. That worked out.
Phillip Rivers had to sit, and make things happen. So Pat Mahomes had to sit. I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing if you draft a guy and actually let him sit and learn and get comfortable with what you're doing. So in this scenario, it would be very, very tempting to go get another positional player. But I think if Justin Fields is there at 4, I had him number 2 on my, for whatever it's worth, on my big board for the draft. He was a second quarterback there. If I can get the second quarterback at number 4, I'll do it.
No. I just think that Justin Fields, to me, he's just such an intriguing player. And the thing is, the Mitch Trubisky, the Falcons had a chance to get him, but they passed on him. Justin Fields, before Zach Wilson and Mac Jones or Trey Lance, he was going to be the second quarterback taken. But now, Sam Darnold's getting traded in. 49ers are in love with Mac Jones. I think if Justin Fields is there, Kevin, I think you get him, even if he's not going to play for a little while.
No, here's the thing. And Ben, if it's me, and maybe this will lead into our next take, if I'm wrong about Mac Jones or Trey Lance, fine. I can live with that. Yeah, I'll live with that. Okay. If they go on and they're franchise players for another team, that's fine. But Justin Fields, I think, is one of those where you can see the talent in college in big time games. I would not. I mean, you can with Mac Jones too, but Justin Fields, a little bit more tape. I would feel bad about passing that up. Next scenario, Ben. Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2. I mean, those just seem like it's done. Like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Justin Fields goes number 3.
Okay.
So he's off the board.
Yeah.
Now, if you're the Falcons, what are you doing at number 4?
As much as I love Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts would be outstanding. I'm just thinking about what a great left tackle does for you. Like a great left tackle to me is a guy to where I play and plug him. I don't have to worry about it. I know you got Jamar Chase. I know you got the pick of the litter. But I'm thinking about, okay, Atlanta was good last year with no Austin Hooper, and Julio was hurt most of the year. They were still, top 5, top 10 offense. But what did I see Matty Ice most of the time? Getting up off the ground a lot. Matty Ice is going middle 30s. He's going to be here for the next couple of years. I think if Fields is gone, Wilson is gone, Lawrence is gone. I like Mac. I like Trey Lance. I like Kyle Trask. I like Kyle Pitts because it's instant offense. But is Kyle Pitts' impact going to be so significant to where it's helping you win games you would have lost? I don't know. Is Kyle Pitts going to have the same impact as a Tony Gonzalez? I don't know. Penei Sewell is a 10-year starter. I think if Penei Sewell, I think if all the other guys are gone, I love Kyle Pitts. You know I love to see him with Atlanta. But Penei Sewell, Kevin, he makes it so that you can mix and match your offensive line that may have guys like Jake Matthews can go from the left to the right. I think he'll play better on that side. I just go with Penei Sewell, I think, at number 4.
Well, here's the thing. You can draft a guy and put him on the right side. I know you can say, hey, he's a left tackle. Well,
Absolutely. He makes your offensive line he makes your offensive line significantly better. And he's because if Justin Fields isn't there, you got to get a guy that's going to contribute right now, play in and play out. I don't think you're going to get better production. Because think about Kyle Pitts, that's how many targets a game? 9, 8, 9? Penei Sewell doesn't come off the field. He doesn't come off, and he's starting from day. I get Penei.
And again, I think this is one where if you're Atlanta, you have a lot of options because, as Christian has said, look, you can get the number 1 guy on your board at 21 other positions. 21 other positions. You can get the number 1 guy if it goes quarterback, which it looks like it's going to. If Justin Fields is gone, man, I don't think you can mess this up.
You can't. Let me say this.
Because here's the thing, if you go quarterback here, Mac Jones is not going to start over Matt Ryan. That Trey Lance is not going to start over Matt Ryan. Why not, as you said, first-round pick, non-quarterback, they are starting. The end.
Yes, they are coming in and start. Now look, but you said something, Kevin, that I think is very, very important. You said they can't get outside of a quarterback. They cannot get this wrong. Now, this is Atlanta we're talking about. So I will say this. You got the top tight end. You got the top receiver. You got the top offensive lineman. They're not going to go defense. They're not going to go Patrick Surtain at number 4 because at the end of the day, Patrick Surtain, while he's good, you ain't got nobody to pair him with. So I just AJ Terrell last year, Patrick Surtain this shit for me, Kevin. They've look. And we forget this. Alex Mack, I think he's gone. I think Alex Mack is gone. So once again, I think that if I can shuffle up my offensive line and I'm getting a bona fide stud in Penei Sewell, Jake Matthews, he's getting older in the tooth. I think I do that because the thing about Kyle Pitts is I think Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase will be incredible, but they still got to learn the game. Penei Sewell, put his hand on the ground, put anybody in front of him, it don't matter. So because I want a guy this is about great player, low maintenance. That's Penei Sewell. Every single time. I like Jamar and I love Kyle, but they got to go through some growing pains. Penei Sewell, give him a number. Blue 42. Let's do it.
Not a bad pick there as well. We'll come back. We got the national championship game coming up tonight. We'll give you our final predictions because Lord knows our brackets have been so good so far. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and Out on this Monday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. National Championship game tonight. We will have pregame coverage coming up 7 p.m. tip-off. I think it's like tomorrow or something. No, it's like 9:30 for the tip-off tonight. Gonzaga and Baylor should be a good one. Ben, your prediction for what's going to happen tonight between the Zags and the Baylor Bears?
This is the thing, Kevin. I mean, as much as I love, what Baylor has done in this tournament. I mean, you talk about what they did in the Final Four against Houston, kind of went about their business while everybody was working, talking about, Oral Roberts or Loyola Chicago or, Syracuse, all the big names, right? They weren't the sexy name, right? It's the Baylor Bears. Well, I go back to last night, with them Stanford Cardinals finishing the job against them Arizona, Cats. I mean, them Arizona, shout out to Stanford last night getting that big. Shout out to Russell Wilson's sister, who was a national champion last night. But Kevin, I think the Zags have seen their hardest competition in the Final Four. They won with a buzzer beater, and
I don't know about that. But
hold on. I'm talking about. Well, I'm sorry, their hardest game. But this is the thing. I'm thinking about taking the long route to get to the finish line, and the Zags have taken the long route, slow and steady. Gonna hopefully finish this race. Gonna be a better game. Kevin, that we know, real similar to the Zags versus UCLA, but I just think that it's the Zags' time. I think it's going to be a back and forth, but the Zags have shown, look, man, we can take another team's best. I know Baylor going to give them their best, but I think the Zags going to come out and hoist up that championship trophy tonight.
Yep, Mark Few, love the guy as a coach. Has not won the national championship. Baylor, I don't think, has been to this national championship game since like the 40s.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, at least since you were in high school.
Yeah, at least since then. But no, so I think it'd be a great game again. If you're tuning in, nice Coastal Georgia tie-in. Davion Mitchell out of Liberty County playing for the Bears. Excellent player. You'll see him a lot tonight. I get the sense that Gonzaga is kind of like, I hate this term, but I'm going to use it like that team of destiny, where it's like they have tried it for years and years and years to get there, and the way they play.
Not why not us, but about time.
They have played well enough in years past and not got there. I feel like this team really, really good. This might have been the year for them to do it. 2020, where Duke struggled, Kansas struggled. A lot of your blue bloods who are typically up there really struggled, and you took advantage of that. You haven't lost a game. I feel like they're riding the momentum. Sometimes you survive that scare, and you're like, whew. There we go. Overtime, you banked it in. Big momentum boost heading into the championship game. I think Gonzaga wins it. And Christian, man, I'm not going to say it's not going to be a game. I think in the second half, Gonzaga pulls away. I'm going to say Gonzaga wins by 10. I'm going to say 73-63, something like that in this ball game. And Mark Few gets a national championship. And again, if that happens, be really happy for a guy who's come so close and not been able to get it done.
The thing about the Zags is, Kevin, they survived. They was the number one seed all throughout the course of the year. And once again, we forget, are trying to be only the second team to go undefeated and win the national championship since Indiana, who just did
Look, we're not talking about the important thing here, Ben. If the Zags win tonight, BJ Bennett's mother wins our bracket challenge.
Oh, I love that. And I know that BJ's not on the show. Some going to say BJ isn't on the show because,
BJ wasn't on the show today because he's scared of his mom.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he talk all that analytics and breaking it down. No, he don't know what he's doing. I'm gonna go to Mama B. Bump BJ.
Agreed.
That's that. Hey, does he think we'll forget by the time we come
back? If I got
Astros, he's trying to pull the Astros and hope everything's blown over by the time he gets back. Like we're gonna forget.
No. We will not forget come Thursday when we're able to join. Again, we got Braves baseball tomorrow. Doubleheader on Wednesday. Going to take us off on Wednesdays. They make up the game that was scheduled for today.
You guys going to hang out for a second down tomorrow?
We are not. I'll be around if you want me to bring some experience and knowledge to your show tomorrow. I'll be happy to do that. But we appreciate Rich Stiles joining us here the final hour. Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily, join us hour number 2. And Quincy Carter, former Georgia and Dallas Cowboys quarterback, join us back in hour number 1. Miss any portion of the show? Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can catch the podcasted version of 3 and Out each and every day. Enjoy the basketball tonight. We'll have Reaction for you tomorrow on Second Down. 3 and Out will be back on Thursday all across Southern Pigskin Radio Network.